Hey everyone, I'm Uwais Durrani. I am a board certified emergency medicine physician and a self-proclaimed health tech nerd. This series of videos is meant to show various health technologies and companies that are developing softwares and EMRs and AI tools, and me as a frontline clinician, just kind of going through them and seeing what I think and what some pros are, some cons, asking questions. The goal is to have a frontline clinician that is not, that hasn't left clinical practice to kind of evaluate these tools and give my thoughts on those things. I feel like there is a gap when it comes to folks that are, still in the weeds and practicing and these technologies and our understanding of these technologies. So I'm by no means an expert. I will be a lot of times looking at these apps and tech for the first time. And I decided to start with Acoer. Now, full disclosure, I am on their advisory board. They didn't ask me to do this. I'm being paid for this or anything like that, but decided to start with a company that I'm somewhat familiar with. And if you are a health tech company or EMR vendor or anything like that that wants to send a request or wants me to do one of these, happy to do so. But Acoer is basically a company that their kind of tagline is developing secure, usable, and real-time blockchain solutions in healthcare. And I've been, familiar with them for about 2.5 years now, and they really want to, make health data and what happens in healthcare transparent, verifiable, and then map that back to the clinician and the patient, and eventually, bring down the walls that exist in healthcare. And so, one of the tools that I think they have that I think best demonstrates their product is this Cancer Trials Explorer. And it's essentially using blockchain verified cancer trial insights. And so, I'll pull up kind of exactly what this looks like, but these are some screen grabs of it. But they actually have a demo that anyone can go and play with. And this is what it looks like. Now, if you're unfamiliar with blockchain, I'm not an expert, but the main thing about blockchain is that it verifies what is happening. There's this ledger of everything that is, for example, in this database. And if there's an update made for a certain trial or anything like that, it's recorded and publicly visible. And you can kind of actually see up here where it says this is current as of this date, and it's cryptogenically verified. And if you actually click on that, it pulls up this window right here where you can actually look at the entry into the ledger, and you know exactly when that entry was made. There's like a unique token, and there's everything that the public can see. And so I think that's what's really cool with that. Whereas a lot of times there's this question of who owns the data, who updated the data, where is it linked to? All these questions a lot of time that come up for those of us that do research. And with blockchain, that can really be tracked and verified. But if you look at this database, it's very easy to use. It's kind of visually appealing. It's very intuitive versus a lot of other health tech that is out there. But I'm just going to kind of click on this. So this is pulling in cancer trials 140,000. So I'm going to pretend like I'm a physician in Houston and maybe I want to find something for a patient in Houston. So let's add a filter, I guess. Let's see. So lots of things that you can filter by. City's one of them. And then let's put in Houston and see what comes up. And so it looks like it updated it to show that there's 10,973 trials in Houston. And it kind of shows you the other cities. And then it kind of shows you where these trials are at. So MD Anderson, NIH, some private pharmaceutical companies, also what phase they're in. So phase two, phase one. Now I'm going to see how I can actually get to the actual list. It looks like there's a trial list up here. And so then it actually pulls up each one of these. And it looks like it kind of is giving me like what they're for. So for example, this one's a phase 2 lymphoma trial, start and end date. And I guess if you click on it, it's going to kind of give me more details. And then I can actually look at the publication they published off of this. And so this is an older trial, obviously. But I think this is cool in that obviously they're using a public data set of publicly available knowledge. They're organizing it, but then they're kind of validating through the kind of blockchain aspect of it exactly where everything is coming from. And I think that is a big issue, maybe not with like, for example, this use case, but a lot of times when you are, submitting for an IRB and what kind of permissions do we have in terms of using certain data or certain items for research study, having that cryptogenic proof, I think will make that much more foolproof in a way. Now, they also, with this, I think I saw it back on a few pages, have an AI tool. And the AI tool is basically, here it is right here. I don't think I have access to using the public version of it, but it's basically something like ChatGPT. They've obviously built their own, and you can kind of ask a question, and it's asking what trials are available related to cold therapy, and then it kind of pops that up. And so this is actually, I think, really cool, where it's actually using language models and AI matched with blockchain and this database that is verifiable, and potentially able to get solutions. I know some of their other use cases, or one of their best use cases, exists around morbidity and mortality and death data when it comes to public coroner's offices, and particularly in the opioid space. And once again, that is data that a lot of it is public, but ownership is kind of a big part of it. And then being able to share that with various entities. Maybe you're doing opioid research and you want to share that data, but you want it to be tracked back to the Harris County Health Department, but I want to give it to a university, then it could be useful in that case. But I feel like this, from like a practical clinician's point of view, could be very useful in maybe like if you're a primary care physician and you're trying to find a trial for your patient in a certain area and using it for that. And it really kind of takes this vast amount of data and makes it easy to digest. It's verifiable. And then adding that AI component on top of it, I think could be useful. So I've been impressed with kind of this use case of blockchain. Obviously, blockchain, I think, in a lot of our collective minds is something that was related to NFTs, and there's a lot of poor taste around that. But if you actually look at companies that are using it for things that matter, I think the use cases are more important now than ever, particularly with AI and the issue of, is something real, is something fake? And we've heard of, data being fake for various types of trials. This becomes very important, having that aspect of, is this authentic? Where did this data come from? Is it verifiable? I think that becomes paramount. And then especially in the age of AI, where things, deep fakes and all kinds of stuff is very hard to know if this is real or not real. I think this makes that very, very important. But I'll wrap this up here. I don't want this video series to be super long. It's just going to be me kind of playing with these various tools and sharing my thoughts on them, and give me all types of feedback. And if you have something you want me to trial or play around with, let me know.